1958. Springhill, Nova Scotia is home to the deepest coal mine in North America, the No. 2 colliery. The No. 2 shaft slopes down for 4,300 meters, 4.3 kilometers, or 14,200 feet, over 2.5 miles. The vertical depth is 1,200 meters, 1.2 kilometers, or 4,000 feet, just under a mile. "174 men descended into the mine for the 3 to 11 p.m. shift. At 8:06 p.m. on October 23, 1958, a massive and catastrophic bump occurred in the No. 2 mine. Specially trained rescue workers known as draggermen and barefaced miners, rescuers without breathing equipment, worked frantically to save any survivors. Only certain parts of the shaft were affected by the bump. In this case, the area most affected by the bump was between the 12,500-foot level and the 13,800-foot level. At the 13,400-foot level, rescuers found survivors walking or limping towards the surface. "You have a badly broken leg. Let's get him out of here." Reporters poured into Springhill to cover the story. It was one of the first major events to be broadcast on TV. Reporters were able to report news as it happened. People around the world waited for news of the miners trapped deep inside the earth. The wives of the town were very concerned about their husbands, but they never gave up hope. Rescuers dug as fast as they could, trying to reach the 13,000-foot level, where 55 men had been working before the bump. On October 25th, 2 days after the bump, 8 people were confirmed dead, 81 had been rescued, and 84 were still missing. As more days passed, the rescuers found nothing but bodies.
Harold Gordon, the general manager of the Dosco Coal Operations, made the dreaded, feared statement. In a press conference attended by most of the people here today, he said that all hope must be given up for any of the men trapped at the 13,800 foot and the 13,400 foot level. Mr. Gordon was a broken, beaten man when he made the announcement. He had been down in the mine since 3:30 this morning, working with the miners and directing the operations of the dragger men. When he made the announcement, his voice broke. Tears came to his eyes. He said that in 30 years of coal mining in Springhill, he had never seen a bump like this one.
Mr. Gordon, is there any indication that any of these men that are still below the surface are alive?
None.
As hope faded for the miners still unaccounted for, the reporters and TV units left. They thought that the story was over. Finally, on October 29th, contact was made with 12 men at the 13,000-foot level. A rescue worker was testing the air for noxious gases when he heard tapping on a broken air pipe.
Is anyone there?
Yes, who's this?
Really, Kent. There's 12 of us here. For goodness sake, come get us.
After talking with the men, the rescuers learned the names of the 12 miners: Harold Brine, Hugh Guthrow, Joseph Holloway Jr., Wilfred Hunter, Gorley Kempt, Larcy Ledbetter, Eldred Lothar, Bowman Madison, Joseph McDonald, Theodore Mishiak, Levi Milley, and Caleb Rushton. The men had been trapped for over 5 days. They had been entombed in a pocket left by the bump that was about 3 feet high and 100 feet long. The men had been taking turns banging and shouting down the pipe in hopes that someone might hear them.
All of a sudden, you heard a voice. Is that the way it happened?
Oh, we thought we heard tapping before that on the pipe. And then we heard the voice. It was very weak at the time when we heard it. But when I talked to a relative of mine, the wife's uncle, his voice was very strong.
What was your reaction, Mr. Weatherby, when you heard this?
I talked to him, I'd say, for 4 or 5 minutes, and after that I broke down. I come to bank.
It certainly must have been a terrific experience, and
It was an awful shock to hear his voice and know that there were 12 men in there alive.
The rescue crews found the men at 2:25 a.m. on the morning of October 30th.
Here comes the stretcher with Gorley Kempt on it. Well, Gorley Kempt is swathed in blankets. We assume that this is Mr. Kempt, the first survivor. Here they are. Here they are. Bowman Madison and Levi Melley. Bowman Madison, yes, and he is talking a blue streak. He's looking at the men. He appears very, very bright and interested in what is going on around. And I'm sure they're happy for the left. Surge, good, and a boy, there he is. He sits up. He sits up.
On November 1st, the last men were found. First, one lone miner was discovered, Byron Martin. He was traumatized from the experience. A few minutes later, the last 6 men were found. Their names were Maurice Ruddick, Douglas Jukes, Curry Smith, Frank Hunter, Garnet Clark, and Herbert Pepperdine. Who are you? Byron Martin. This man is traumatized. Get him out of here immediately. Are you all right? Give me some water, and I'll sing you a song. They had been trapped for 8 days. Originally, there were 7 men alive in what would become known as the pocket left by God. Percy Rector had his arm caught in a pack. He succumbed to his injuries just a few days before they were rescued.
Well, here they are. Here they are. Here's the first of them. I can't give you his name, but he's smiling. He's smiling. His eyes are covered with a gauze bandage, probably to shield them from the light of the day. With him, 2 of the barefaced miners who are working in the pit. The third, and he's sitting up. He has his hands clasped, and he's waving to the crowd. This is a repeat indeed of what we had seen here the other morning, in the early hours of the other morning. People are cheering. This man is lying in there on the stretcher. He looks exceedingly happy. And away goes the third ambulance. But that will be the last of the 7 survivors.
Those 7 men were the last found alive. In total, 99 men were rescued from the No. 2 colliery. 75 were killed. Before the bump, the No. 2 colliery was Springhill's only operating colliery. After the bump, the mine was never reopened. Today, there is a plastic factory where the colliery once was.